Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. And today I want to talk about the Google Hangout that I participated in yesterday, where it was a Dragnet versus creationism. And in this Google Hangout, I went in there with my same question that I was asking about the videos I made on this channel. That was that, you know, a lot of these atheists like to say that evolution doesn't teach that a dog will ever become a non-dog. However, we are supposedly related to dogs. We're related to orangutans, or we're related to like all these different animals out there. Most of you know I'm trying to be funny when I make them jokes, but the fact is they do believe that that we're related to these things. But they keep arguing that a dog will never, ever cease from being a non-dog. And it makes me wonder, then if a dog is never going to be a non-dog, then how can I be related to a dog? See, if you look at my family tree, the only thing that you're ever going to see is human beings. You understand? Unless you're going through the millions of years according to them, and you're going to see Neanderthals and things like that and whatnot. But the point is, at the end of the day, they're saying that we're related to these other species of animals and whatnot. So when I went into the room, Scientist Sam and some other people tried to explain to me that we all came from a common ancestor known as a Tiktaalik. I kept asking them what kind of animal it was, and they eventually said that it was a fish-like creature. If a Tiktaalik is a fish-like creature, and this fish-like creature eventually became something that was not a fish-like creature, then that means that fish will eventually become non-fish. A lot of you understand that. They didn't, and they got frustrated. I lasted about maybe 10 to 15 minutes in that Google Hangout, and they kicked me out. And I wasn't mad, I wasn't upset. I even called one of my friends here on the internet that's not a Christian, and told them I wasn't mad and I was upset. All of you saw me riding a bike, all of you saw me competing with traffic, and that I had to talk at a certain way in order for people to hear me, at least from my perspective anyway. But they kept wanting me to be mad, they kept wanting me to be upset. But that simply is not the case. So what I find interesting about all of that is that they're arguing constantly that dogs will never become non-dogs. But when it comes to explaining to us how we're all related, they're all saying that we evolved from a common ancestor, which was a fish-like creature. You understand what I'm saying? You're saying that a fish will always be a fish, except for when it comes to us evolving from small changes over a long period of time, from fish that will become a reptilian type creature, that will become a land creature, that would eventually, like whatever, you know what I mean, over a long period of time. But you're telling me a dog will never become a non-dog? It's like it's contradictions like this that tells me that what they're teaching about evolution is not true. They haven't done their homework, and they don't know as much about the topic as they say they do. And that's very important to remember when you're dealing with the evolutionists. That's why Sam didn't want to debate me, because most of the time I spent my time talking to him. And I listened to what he had to say. I even admitted that, let's say that you was right and you was telling me the truth about what you were saying. That still tells me that a fish is going to become a non-fish at some point. You understand what I'm saying? It's either a dog becomes a non-dog or it doesn't. Okay, so let's say we stick with the dog, right? And we look a trillion years down the road. You're telling me this dog is always going to be a dog, but you're telling me this Tiktaalik that was a fish is going to become something other than a fish at some point. And when you think about it like that, you can appreciate how stupid these people sound to me. Dragnet just recently made a video saying that we don't respect science. No, I respect science. I'm using a phone, for crying out loud. When I'm at home, I'm using my computer. You know, I take medicine when I'm sick. What the heck is this guy talking about? You know what I mean? I don't respect your religion that you're calling science, and that's macroevolution. And Scientist Sam, Dragnet, and the rest of the people in that room have yet to show me a speck of evidence that what they're saying is true. And most importantly, Dragnet, I hope you're paying attention, that what you're saying is consistent. Again, you are saying that a dog will never become a non-dog, but now you're trying to argue that a fish will become a non-fish over a long period of time. Which is it? Make your mind up. All I'm asking for is some consistency for the claims that you're making regarding the theory of evolution. That's all I'm trying to do. And until you can do that, I don't have to respect your theory. Now, when it comes to microevolution, we're talking about, you know, variations within the kinds. I'm not going to argue with that. Small changes over time, but you know what? It's always going to be a fish. It's always going to be a dog. See, that's my worldview. Your worldview says that a fish will eventually become something other than a fish. I don't believe that. I believe a fish is always going to be a fish. Let me say this again real slow for you out there. So some of you just don't get this. I believe that a fish will always be a fish. It's called microevolution, or variations within the kinds. You believe, because we're related to everything out there, And that would be the plant that's right here. You believe this is my distant cousin right here. How you doing? What's up? You believe that the cats that's over there are my distant cousins and relatives. You believe that all the pets in the zoos are my distant relatives and everything. You believe that. I don't believe that. I believe that these animals were created after their own kinds. Do you understand that? Like zebras and horses and all those things is a response of God, is a result of God creating these things. You understand what I'm saying? So Dreadnought can do Dreadnought versus creationism until he's blue in the face, but until this guy actually presents an argument, macroevolution is consistent. And the part that I never got to in that Google Hangout that I wish I would have got to is the idea, I forgot what I was going to say, but you know what, I'll save it for another video. The point of the matter is I never really got to get into another point that I wanted to get to. Oh, this is the point I wanted to. I just remember, okay, in real time, I just remember. How many scientists actually agree with what they're saying? See, here's the thing. I can show you scientists that believe a dog will become a non-dog over a long period of time. See, I never forgot about those 3-on-1 debates that Ken Hovind had. I never forgot about those other debates these other creationists had. There are atheists that argue that you have to have faith to believe that a fish becomes a non-fish over a long period of time, or a degree of faith. I was on the Drunken Peasants and I heard an atheist admit that right to the Amazing Atheist. So don't give me this garbage that just because you're going to college, just because you're learning something at some university, that automatically makes you right. Okay? We've been taught a lot of things in our school systems that is wrong, and you don't want to go there with me because I can prove that rather easily. Especially since science, you know, progresses over time. You know, it's like, well, you know, we did a certain amount of research and we learned that wasn't really the case, and that this is how it really happened. Like for example, say Big Bang, for example. They claim that the singularity was a trillion times bigger than what they claim it is now, about the size of a dot, like a period on a page. You know what I mean? They believe that it was trillions and trillions and trillions of times bigger than that. And over time, it got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller as they did research. So don't give me this garbage that everything that you get taught in school is true, because it's not. How you doing? You know what I mean? So I'm just saying. Macroevolution is a religion. It is not a science. It's not something that I can test. It's not something that can be verified with the scientific method. And by the way, Brenda was still laughing pretty hard about the fruit flies. Never use that in the Google Hangout again. Never, ever, ever. That was a bad job you did. Fruit flies is horrible because fruit flies are always going to be fruit flies. Do you understand it? We already believe in microevolution, or variations within the kinds. We don't believe in macroevolution. Please understand your terms before you get into a debate. And I will be hosting another Google Hangout. If it's not going to be on my main channel because of the strike that the video that was removed on my channel, which I'm still fighting, we will be doing it on GTV on my scientific channel. I'll make sure religion won't be mentioned there. We'll be doing it 100% scientifically, and we'll be talking about this issue. And I'm promising you guys the epic ponage of a respected scientist that talks about macroevolution. And if one of you don't get to making a video response and showing me how a dog will never become a non-dog, but we go trillions of years later, and then you try to argue that it's going to be like you do with the tetrapod, or whatever that thing was called, then you don't got an argument. You don't got an argument, because I'm going to catch you in an outright lie. All right? And I promise you. Now, I'm going to invite Scientist Sam again, even though he's going to be a waste of my time, because the guy doesn't know nothing about the topic. He's not qualified to talk about this. Dragnet, I'm sorry, man. You don't know enough about this topic. I'm going to try to go out there and find some people that will talk about this, that will be intellectually honest about this, won't get overly emotional about it, and throw me out of my own room within 10 minutes of talking about it. I got to find me somebody who's patient, somebody who can talk about this like adults. They're doing construction over there, and won't get overly emotional about it, and you know, do stupid things and whatnot, because you know, some of us want to learn, you know what I mean? And the way you guys was acting, this is the final thing that I want to say. Quick shout out to Sam and you guys. You can't teach people the way you was teaching people when I hang out. And I'm going to take a clip of that Google Hangout and show you what happened when I asked those questions. You're going to see sarcasm, you're going to see name calling, but you ain't going to see no teaching in the beginning. And I don't care if they were talking to somebody else. The fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, that is not how you teach a topic. I'm just saying, I need to grow up. Until next time, guys, it's been another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries, smacking macroevolution in the mouth and educating you uneducated atheists on this topic, telling you to read your Bible and do what it says. God bless.